That is not a big stumbling block. That is not something that's not what's hurting the Jews right now, in my opinion.
Okay.
We have much bigger problems right now. You want to know what the big problems are?
Yeah.
Assimilation.
Yeah.
Intermarriage, assimilation, Jews coming to America, Jews going to state of Israel, and they're acting like non-Jews, and want to be non-Jewish, and don't know the first thing, and go to Tel Aviv, and go to nightclubs, and on Friday nights, on Shabbos, and eat treif, and then, marry some Arab. This is the problem. This is the problem. They come to the United States, and they want to be non-Jews, and they act like non-Jews, and they want to assimilate and go to their schools and dress like non-Jews and act like non-Jews, and they don't know they don't know. The assimilation, intermarriage, ignorance of their own religion, these are the problems. This is the war that the Jews are fighting today. That's why I can't be Naturi Karta, because I don't believe the biggest problem in the world for Judaism is the state of Israel. I think there's much bigger problems. Assimilation, ignorance of their own religion, and intermarriage are the big three.
So,
porn is not even on the list.
You don't think internet, like blowjob movies, are causing all these problems?
Internet blowjob movies. I don't think there's enough of them right now. That's what I think. You know what? I want to tell you this. If every Jew would keep Shabbos, right,
yeah.
and marry a Jew, and what's the other one I said, and eat kosher, in America, every single Jew would do that.
Yeah.
I would provide them with blowjob movies.
Whoa. Whoa. So do you think we'll see Balaam in heaven?
Bilam.
No,
he was an evil man.
So do you have any thoughts on this week's Parsha? It runs from, I think, Numbers or the book of Bamidbar in Hebrew, chapter 22, I believe, until chapter 25. It's the story of Israel going through the wilderness, and according to some commentators, they're near the end of their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, and this Moabite king Balak is afraid of the Israelites are going to come conquer him, and so he goes to hire this great prophet, perhaps named Balaam, or Balaam in English. And this thing of blessing and curses seems to be a really big deal in the Torah. It's not used so much anymore. When we go to war, we don't usually hire people to pronounce blessings and curses, but blessings and curses just keep repeating throughout the Torah. Like was it Jacob and Esau? Like they both wanted the blessing from their father Isaac, and Moses tells the Israelites, "I put before you this day a blessing, a curse. Choose life." Blessings and curses is a big deal in the Torah. So, do you have any thoughts on Balaam, Balak, and this week's Torah portion of Balak?
Yeah, I took some notes down if you want to hear them.
Yeah.
Okay, you asked me if Balaam was going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
This is actually an interesting thing that you opened up. Balaam, the Talmud tells us that Balaam was a very evil man. That's why I said he won't go. It's not my opinion. The Talmud tells us that. Mm-hmm. He was a very evil man. Now, what makes him so evil? Right? Now, if you look at 22:18, okay, the Torah tells us, it says, Balaam is being quoted, and he says, even if Balak would give to me a house full of silver and gold, I still could not transgress God. Because Balak is trying to buy off Balaam. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Balak's coming to Balaam. I know it's two guys that have like the same name. There's like right. Balak and Balaam. How are you going to remember this? Right? So Balak is coming to Balaam, and he's trying to get this bracha that you mentioned, this blessing, and he's saying, hey man, I'll pay you whatever you want. I'll pay you whatever you want. It's like The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I want you to do a job for me.
Yeah.
I got a job for you to do for me. And Balaam says, no. Even if I'm with God on this, I can't do it. Even if you filled a house full of silver and gold, I'm not going against God. Sounds like a good guy, doesn't he? Doesn't he sound like a really nice guy?
Yeah,
sounds like a really good guy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, there's a similar thing if you look in Pirkei Avos, which is also part of Talmud. It's pretty famous, Pirkei Avos. If you look in chapter 6, one of our own Jewish sages is considered a great, righteous, pious man. And he says, and I quote, even if one were to give me all the silver, gold, precious stones, and pearls in the world, I would still only live in a place of terror. Even if one were to give me all the silver, gold, precious stones, and pearls in the world, I would only live in a place of terror. Isn't that basically the same thing Bilam said? Yet one's righteous and one is evil. So where are the problems, right? Does anybody here have an answer?
They're on like a 45-second tape delay.
Oh, they're on. Oh. Okay, tell me if any good questions come
No,
up.
I'm watching
I
it, so you don't have to worry about it.
All right. Now, the careful reader knows that those two statements are not even closely alike. Let's examine them. The rabbi, the sage, said, even if you give me all the gold and silver and pearls and precious stones. The other one, Bilam, only said gold and silver. Meaning, he might not be interested in gold and silver, but he might be influenced by precious stones and pearls. Bilam said, even if you filled up a house, I couldn't go against God. But the rabbi said, even if you give me every single one in the entire world. So what's the difference? The rabbi said, I don't care what it is. Gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, whatever, all of them in the entire world, I'm not going against God. There is no price on me. But Bilam said, only gold and silver and only a house full of it. Meaning, if you throw in a few pearls, or a few amethysts, whatever they're called, amethysts, right? And you get a little more than a house, I can be bought. In other words, Bilam is giving a price. He is negotiating with the Sopranos. He's saying, I have a price. $38,005 is my price. You get $1 more than that, and I'm with you. Up till then, I'm not doing business. Bilam is a Rasha. Bilam is an evil man. He wants to go against God. He just has a price on it. Go ahead.
Well, to me, Balaam's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
As I just read the straight text of Numbers, chapter 22 to chapter 24, if you just read the plain meaning of the text, he seems like a good guy. Like, we had medieval Jewish commentators such as the Rambam, Maimonides, and the Ramban, Nachmanides, and in particular the Rashbam, who was, I think, a grandson of Rashi.
Correct.
And these commentators wrote commentaries on the plain meaning of the Torah text. So they investigated the meaning of the text with relatively little allegiance paid to rabbinic commentary, but they just went to the straight plain meaning of the text. I think if you look at the plain meaning of the text in Numbers 22 to chapter 24, Balaam seems like a good guy. He says all these beautiful things about Israel. He only goes to prophesy when God says he could. Okay, there was this kind of awkward interaction with the donkey and the angel, and he doesn't look so good. But overall, Balaam, just like Asaph, I think in the plain meaning of the text, is a very sympathetic character. But then when you get to the Talmud and the Midrash, they're both portrayed as really bad people, the epitome of evil. And also other places in the Tanakh, they look at Balaam as a very bad man. But, I mean, his blessings, they're incorporated into our liturgy. We say them every time we walk into shul.
Matovu Alecha Yaakov, yeah.
And so I find that fascinating. I see a lot of differences between the 5 books of Moses, the narrow meaning of the word Torah, and then the rabbis of the Talmud. For instance, in the 5 books, the death penalty is affirmed in every book. The 5 books are very pro-death penalty for murder and for other sins, while the Talmud makes it much more difficult to carry out the death penalty. The Talmud is much more ambivalent about the death penalty. And I'm looking at Jewish Publication Society commentary on the Book of Numbers by conservative rabbi Jacob Milgram. And he writes, if one were to remove the ass episode from the text, what would remain is a picture of Balaam the saint. Over and over again, whether in response to Balak's emissaries or to Balak himself, Balaam harps on a single